Welcome to Construction Math. Today we're going to be talking about representing data with plots, specifically dot plots. So on your bell work, on your note taker, think about ways that you have displayed data or even seen data displayed. So write 3 on your note taker, share with your partner, and then teacher call on non-volunteers. Please pause the video until you've gotten all of these tasks done. Welcome back. For the math check today, please make sure that you have all these datas and you're going to create a frequency table of favorite numbers. Pause the video, teacher, while the students do this, and we'll meet you back here in a minute to check. Welcome back. Let's go to our slate. Now remember, when you do a frequency table, you're going to do a divided column like this. Over here, what we're going to title it as is going to be the favorite number that people picked. Over here is going to be the frequency. All right, so the first number we have is a 2, and I'm looking at my data. It looks like the numbers go from 1 to 9. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then I'm going to put tally marks because that helps me. The first number was a 2. The second number was a 7, and then another 7, then a 5, a 3, a 4, a 1, a 9. I have a 7, a 7, a 2, a 5, a 6, a 3, a 2, and a 7. Now notice none of these happen to go over or be 5 or more. If there was a 5, I would cross hatch it. Now I'm actually going to just write the numbers down so it'll be helpful to me later. 1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 1, 4, 0, and 1. So there I do it. I have my frequency table. So check your answers, and then let's go back to the PowerPoint and see if I did the same thing correctly when I wasn't just using the slate. So let's go on down. 1, 3, 2. Looks exactly right. This looks a little better. I didn't have the tally marks on here. That's your choice whether you want to have the tally marks or not. I like them when I'm just collecting the data. All right. So the next thing, on your note taker, fill in the missing terms in red. Our objectives for today are that we are going to define terminology. We're going to construct a dot plot, and we're going to analyze a dot plot to answer questions about the data. Right. So let's go on to the first one. Here's our vocabulary square, and it should be on your note taker. So our term for today is a dot plot, and it's a statistical chart consisting of data points on a fairly simple scale used to compare frequency counts. That's why having a frequency table was so important. So draw what you think a picture should look like that's going to help you remember, define it in your own words, and write a meaningful sentence. Connections or new information you can add to this at any time during the lesson. Teacher, have the students share their meaningful sentence or their picture with their partner. Call on non-volunteers to share, and I'll meet you back here in a couple of minutes. Welcome back. Here's the steps to constructing a dot plot. First thing is we're going to organize the data into a frequency table. That's why we did the math check, to see that you remembered about a frequency table. Step number 2 is to set intervals on the axis with evenly spaced tick marks. Tick marks are just little short dashes. Step 3, place dots on the graph to represent the data. And step 4, we make sure you title the data. Right, so pause the video if students need to copy these down, or if any, just add the words to your note taker. Welcome back. What I want you to do, students, is to summarize the steps in your own words. Right? And then share with your partner. Teacher, pause the video. After they've shared with their partner, call on non-volunteers, and I'll meet you back here in a minute or 2. Welcome back. I'm glad you got the steps in your own words. So here's our first example. On your note taker, make sure that you add this data if it's not on your note taker. And we have a construction foreman recorded the number of stops he made per day in the first 2 weeks of July. So step number 1 is I want to make a frequency table for these pieces of data. All right, so after you copy it, teacher, pause the video if you need to, and I'll meet you back here and we'll go to our slate. Welcome back. Let's go to our slates. All right, let's clear that out. And now we're going to have another frequency table. This time we're going to have number of stops. And we're going to have frequency. Now I look at my data. My data, his smallest number of stops is 1. His largest is 5. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'm going to hashtag. The first day it was 3 stops. The second day 2, and then 4, and then 1, and then 5, and then 3, and then 1, and 1, and 2, and 1. So I'm going to put these numbers down so it's easier for me later. So I have a 4, a 2, a 2, a 1, and a 1. So check to make sure that you have the same data on your frequency table. Pause the video if you need students to be able to check. Welcome back. Let's go back to our PowerPoint and let's check. Here's what my frequency looked like. Exactly the data I got before. So now I'm going to take that data for step number 2. I'm going to go to my slate and set the intervals. What I do is I make a horizontal line, a horizontal axis, and then I'm going to put tick marks. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is 5. I tried my best to make them evenly spaced. It's easier if you have graph paper, but we'll do that. All right, so check to make sure that, and add that to your note taker. We're going to go back to the PowerPoint, and we're going to check. There, that looks a lot better. All right, now we're going to go back to the slate and check for number 3. Step number 3 on the slate, when we go back, we'll have my graph, and then I'm going to use my frequency table. It said I had 4 times this foreman did 1 stop in a day. So I'm going to put 4 dots above that. For 2, he had 2 times he did that. 2 for 3. 4 had 1 time. And 5 had 1 time. So add the dots to your version of this graph, this dot plot. Pause the video, teacher, if you need students to have more time. Welcome back. Let's go to our PowerPoint and check. There we go. That looks a little nicer than my hand-drawn one. Step number 4 wants you to title the graph. So I'm going to go back to my slate and make a title. I'm going to call this, I'm going to say that this is the number of stops by the foreman in the first 2 weeks of July. That's really complete. If you just said number of stops by the foreman, that's probably okay. But the more complete you have, the more information the people looking at your dot plot are going to have. All right? So take a second, make sure you've added the title. Pause the video, teacher, if the students need more time. Welcome back. I'm going to clear it off and we're going to go back to our PowerPoint. There was my answer, number of stops in the first 2 weeks of July. Now, think, pair, share. I want you to, with your partner, to construct a dot plot for the following data, given the number of shingles, bundles of shingles. So the ones in red you need to fill on your note taker, and then I want you to go ahead and make a frequency table first. We're going to do this step by step. So pause the video, teacher, while the students copy the data down, and then do a frequency table. Welcome back. Let's check. Here's my frequency table. 18 bundles, I had 2. 19 bundles, I had 4. 20 bundles were 0. 21 bundles were 2. 22 bundles were 3. 23 bundles were 0. 24 bundles were 3. 25 were 2. 26 2, and 27 2 bundles. All right, just make sure. with a dot plot, you don't have to start at 0. Just start at the very smallest number you have. Right, the smallest number we had was 18 bundles. Now, construct a dot plot. Make the axes and put the dots on them. All right, we'll pause while you do that. I'll meet you back here in a couple minutes. Welcome back. Let's see how you did. All right, here are my dot plots. Notice 20 and 23 had none, so we didn't put any. So I put the dot plots on there. I've got a nicely spaced x-axis or horizontal axis. All right, and then now put a title on it. I'll meet you back here in a minute. Welcome back. Let's check. I put number of bundles of shingles. As long as you had something similar to that, that's fine. Now, the next thing is, we're going to look at this. Here's a dot plot. It's the number of hours worked by the crew. So make sure that you have the same dot plot on your particular, on your note taker. All right. Now, let's look at this. Question number 1. Use the dot plot that we just had to find the total number of crew members. All right, so I'm going to go back, and here's what it looks like. Pause the video until the students have had a chance to complete that, and I will meet you back here in a minute. All right, what I did to do this, or what I'm thinking about this, is the number of hours worked by the crew. Each dot represents a member of the crew, so all I have to do is count the number of dots. So I have 1 in the first column, 2 more makes 3, 3 more makes 6, 1 is 7, 7 and 5 is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I think there were 16 crew members. So let's go look at the answers. Each dot represents, and we had 16, exactly right. All right, next question. Use the dot plot to find the largest number of hours worked by a crew member. So let's go back and look at our dot plot. With your partner, write down what you think. All right, pause the video while students discuss, and I'll meet you back here in a minute. Welcome back. It looks by this dot plot that the fewest number somebody worked was 35. It looks like one person worked 45 hours. So let's see if that was right. Let's go through, and here we go. It was 45 hours. It was the biggest tick mark on the graph. Overtime. Now, in order to make overtime, you have to work more than 40 hours. So go back and look at your dot plot to find out how many crew members worked more than 40 hours. Pause the video, and I'll meet you back here in a minute. Welcome back. Let's go back and look at that. I'm looking to see how many worked. 2 worked 41 hours, 1 worked 42 hours, and 1 worked 45, so it looks like a total of 4. 5 people worked the normal work week, but we wanted to find overtime, so let's go check and see. 4 crew members did. We're absolutely fine. So besides being able to make a dot plot, the dot plot can give you a lot of information. And here's our closure. On your note taker, in 12 words or less, summarize the most important aspects or learning from today's lesson. I'll meet you back here next time for another construction math lesson.